My fiancé invited my abusive father, even though I asked him not to.
My fiancé invited my abusive father to our wedding after I told him not to. I'm planning to delete my account, but I need an outside perspective and can't turn to friends or family. I, 29F, met my ex, 32M, in college. He knew everything about my complicated relationship with my father. Growing up, my dad struggled with addiction, cheated on my mom, and left us in debt. I only learned about the physical and emotional abuse he inflicted on my mom and siblings when I was older. Since I'm the youngest, my memories are vague, and my family hid it from me thinking it was better that way. They wanted me to have a good relationship with him. My dad wasn't actively involved in my life, and we didn't see each other often, even though my mom allowed him to visit whenever he wanted. He always promised to take me out on weekends, but never showed up. When he did, he would yell at waiters and threaten to beat or kill them. He'd rage at strangers and drive over 100 meters with me in the car, always criticizing my mom in front of me. I have many stories, but two of the most extreme are, once, he threw a boy my age to the ground just for talking to me and started beating him. He left him bleeding on the floor and dragged me to the car while I cried and shook. Another time, he took me out for my 15th birthday, on the exact day, and abandoned me at a mall. I was 3 cities away from where I lived and didn't know what to do. I tried to take the bus home, got lost, and had to call my best friend. She and her older brother came to pick me up. That was the last time I saw him. The craziest part is that at the end of every visit, he'd make me wait in the car for hours while he went to a friend's house. We'd spend maybe 2 or 3 hours together, and then I'd sit alone in the car for 4 or 5 more. My mom thought we were spending the whole day together, but clearly we weren't. Despite his behavior, I still talked to my dad on the phone sometimes. I felt bad that he had no one in his life. He told me his whole family hated him, and that made me sad. Then one day, my mom decided to divorce him. He refused to give her the divorce until I stepped in. I saw that my mom finally had the confidence to take that step, and it felt cruel that he wouldn't do it for her. So I told him I thought it was unfair and asked him to do it for me. He agreed, and I thought our relationship might improve because he'd shown that he really cared about me. But even after the divorce, he remained distant and had another child. He only reached out when he needed help with paperwork, writing emails or doing favors. Eventually, he crossed a line by asking me to forge my mom's signature. I told him I couldn't help, and he called me a stupid bitch like my mother. I told my family. He had done many reckless things, but that was the first time he had directly insulted me. That's when they told me the full truth about his abuse and drug use. I knew he had cheated and that we had financial problems, but I hadn't realized how serious things really were. I realized that every time he played the victim, saying everyone hated him or he was going through hard times, he was just trying to make me feel sorry for him. It wasn't that they hated him just for cheating. It was all the other horrible things he had done. When I tried to call him, he texted me saying I was ungrateful for not helping him with one little thing, forging a document, especially since he had done me the favor of giving my mom the divorce and that I owed him for that. Then he blocked me. His son's mother later messaged me and told me that every time he said he was going out with me, he was actually using that as an excuse to borrow his sister's car. He needed it to go see his dealer for drugs or to go to her place for sex. I confided in my ex about my dad's manipulative behavior and my decision to cut him out of my life when we started getting serious. My ex understood and supported me. I feel like there are 2 versions of my dad. The one I experienced, reckless and careless, which I thought was due to him being lonely and missing his family, and a much darker version I never had to face directly. I realized I should have talked about everything he had done, but at the time I was just trying to keep both my dad and my family happy. My ex helped me let go of that need to please everyone. He helped me stand firm in my decisions and not feel guilty about saying no. He had a great relationship with my family, which made me feel even more secure in our relationship. I felt like I could trust and depend on him. When we started planning our wedding, my ex asked me about my dad, and I made it very clear I didn't want him there. He hadn't been part of my life for 7 years, and I wasn't ready to reconcile with him, especially not at my wedding. However, one day I came home and found my dad there. My ex had invited him over so they could make peace. I was completely devastated. My ex's actions completely ignored my feelings and boundaries. I couldn't believe he would do something like that, knowing how I felt about my father and without asking me first. My dad made a comment about how happy he was that I had come to my senses, and how excited he was to come to the wedding, even suggesting that my half-brother could be the ring bearer. I asked my dad to leave and warned him never to contact me again. My ex got furious because he thought I should forgive my father and work on repairing our relationship. But I don't understand why I should forgive him if he was the one who broke the bond with me. More importantly, I can't forgive someone who hasn't even apologized for his past actions. He thought enough time had passed for me to start working on forgiveness. But I argued that it's not fair for me to do all that work alone. My number hasn't changed, and my dad hasn't done anything to show he's changed. Sure, he gave my mom the divorce, but he never apologized for all the damage he caused, and was happy to keep pretending he was just a guy who cheated and made a mistake, as if that's why he was unfairly demonized. I asked my ex how long he had been in contact with my dad, and it turned out they had been talking for 6 months. I felt deeply disrespected and hurt by my ex's actions, so I decided to cancel the wedding and told him we needed to rebuild trust and communication in our relationship before getting married. But my ex refused, saying it was either we get married or break up, so I ended the engagement. He knew I had issues with dishonesty and poor communication from many people in my life, with decisions being made for me without considering my feelings, and with all the years I spent trying to please others. And still, by trying to force my father back into my life, it was like he was deliberately triggering all my traumas. I still don't understand why he reached out to him if he supposedly understood my reasons for not wanting my dad at the wedding. I still love him, so it hurts. But I believed I was doing the right thing. What doesn't a T help is that I am now getting so much hate from my ex-S family, who are insulting me and blaming me for breaking his heart. They're calling me the bad guy for being too sensitive and overreacting. With everything I'm receiving, I'm starting to feel like maybe I was the bad guy. I did the right thing. Edit 1. When we first started dating, he constantly asked me about my dad and my traumas. I thought he just cared a lot, and even when it was uncomfortable for me, he pressured me to open up because he wanted me to know I could tell him anything. I was very focused on school. I didn't go to parties or clubs, just classes, conferences, symposia. He thought it was because I was trying to distract myself from my problems and keep my walls up. He told me he would help me come out of my shell because that is what people our age were supposed to do. He was manipulating me this whole time, and I didn't see it. Edit 2. Some people messaged me asking for an update. I was planning on deleting my account, but the fact that so many people took the time to give me advice and support really made me feel better. I can't express how comforting it is to know I made the right decision. Update. I was thinking about getting back with my ex, but now I realize he might not be the good guy everyone thinks he is. Honestly, I was planning to confront my ex's mom, but I lost the courage because I started to believe I was the bad guy. That's why I made the post. I also started feeling like a fool. I guess if enough people tell you something, you start to believe it. I'm going to contact my ex's mom to have a face-to-face conversation and tell my ex he needs to get all his things out of the apartment. It's been a month since we broke up, so he has to get them. If anything else happens, I'll post an update. If not, I'll delete the account. Thanks to everyone for your support. Update. Just a quick update. I'm going back to therapy, but everyone who responded to my post really gave me the confidence that I made the right choice. My dad hasn't shown up at my place, but I'm planning to move. I've been subletting an apartment because I didn't renew the lease at my last place. My ex and I were planning to move in together. I'll be moving in with my sister. She is turning a living room into a bedroom. It adds a lot to my commute, but it'll do for now. I am changing my number and don't plan to give it to my ex or his family, but I did want to talk to his mom. We've been in each other's lives for a long time, and I wanted her to know this isn't what I wanted. Of all the people who reached out, she wasn't aggressive with me. I should have been clearer in my original post. I was just so disappointed. It was my ex's dad, sister, cousins, and aunts who harassed me. And yes, I was blocking them, but they used other numbers, probably from other relatives or their partners, and were making fake accounts to message me on Instagram. Even if a profile is private, you can still receive messages. I called his mom, and she was cold, but I explained how painful the treatment I received was. She apologized, but said she thinks people were just angry and didn't understand how I could end the relationship just because my ex asked if I wanted to invite my dad. I was confused and told her he did ask me that when we got engaged, and I didn't end the relationship immediately. I just postponed the engagement because he literally invited my dad even though I had told him I didn't want him there. I only ended things when he gave me an ultimatum. She asked why I never told anyone anything, and I said it was because no one asked. I was only sent hate messages. Why would I respond to people who treated me like that? She apologized and said she'd make sure her family knew. I told her it didn't really matter, but I wanted her to know how I felt because it mattered to me, and I thought I mattered to her. She got very sad after that and started crying, so I guess I do matter to her in some way. I've received a few more messages from people who have apologized. I don't expect anything from those who haven't reached out, but it is nice to know some people are willing to set aside their pride and say, sorry. I looked online but didn't really find a clear answer on how long my ex can keep his stuff in my home. When we broke up, I sent him an email and a text, but he never responded, so I tried calling, sent another email and text, and even mailed him a letter letting him know he had 30 days to collect his belongings, with copies of the message and original email where I asked him to come get them. I don't know if he got the letter, but yesterday he wrote to ask if we could talk alone when he comes to get his things. I hesitated, but deep down I just want to leave all this behind and wanted to tell him that in person. I told him we could meet in a public place, and he agreed. My brother drove me to a cafe this morning and waited outside while I went in to see my ex. According to him, he got it into his head that he was going to fulfill a childhood dream of mine, to have a real relationship with my dad. I once told him that when I was younger, I asked my dad to consider signing the divorce papers with my mom, hoping we could rebuild our relationship to the point where he could walk me down the aisle and dance with me at my wedding. But that was years ago, before my dad blocked me, before I found out the truth about his physical, mental, and emotional abuse toward my mom and my siblings, and before I truly understood how manipulative and neglectful he had been toward me. Also, the idea was that he would put in the effort to rebuild our relationship so he could eventually be present at my wedding. He made no effort at all, so there's no sense in him just showing up out of nowhere. My ex apologized and admitted that when he saw my reaction, he knew he had messed up, but didn't know how to admit it, so he just gave me that ultimatum as a bluff. He never expected me to actually break the engagement, but by then he was in too deep and didn't know what to do. He also said he lied to his family because he knew he had done wrong and didn't want them to hate him. He asked if we could work on our relationship and go to couples therapy. He said we could start over, but I just told him no. I don't believe his intentions were good, and I pointed out, as many others did too, that he went against my wishes by bringing my dad back into my life, stayed in contact with an abuser for 6 months without telling me, gave me an ultimatum, realized he was wrong and didn't apologize, and lied to his family. All of that was incredibly manipulative. Some people commented that he might have a savior complex, and reevaluating our relationship, I think that might be true. Either way, none of it matters now. I don't want him in my life. I don't think he'll try to reach out again. He cares too much about what people think to try anything. He's supposed to come get his stuff tomorrow. My brother and uncle will be there. They're both big guys, and I know he's scared of them. I don't plan on staying in the apartment during that time. The only person who knows where I'll be is my childhood friend of 20 years. I think that's it. I'm going to be single for a while, go to therapy, stay active, and just enjoy life.